And say you own a company issues 1,000 shares of stock, each one of those stocks is worth 1,000th of what that company's worth. Now, if a company comes out and says we're going to issue another 1,000 shares of stock, that stock has been diluted or debased by half because now you've got 2,000 shares of stock that need to share the same value.
Gotcha.
So it's a matter. Inflation is a nice way of saying debasement. The actual term, when you print more fiat currency and decrease the individual value of each piece of that currency, is called debasement. And that's what we've been going on in our country since 1931. I was born in 1960, and since 1960, the currency has been debased by over 60%. Since I've entered the workforce in 1980, it's been debased by 48%.
And they just tell us this is rising prices, this is normal, this is the way the world works.
So any money that I've saved in my working lifetime, unless I can overcome that debasement, which we can't believe what they tell us. They stop publishing the amount of money that they print in the M3 supply. It's all estimated. But we can always go back. Even though we're not on a physical gold standard, all currencies are compared to gold.
Okay.
Banks, countries, multinational corporations, they all hedge their bets with gold because as a commodity, it doesn't lose value. When you have a fiat currency that purchases it and that fiat currency's value comes down, this goes up.
And the reason why gold holds its value is because they can't just print more. They either have to find it, there's a limited supply.
Correct.
And with the paper money, we just get a printing press.
Boom, 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 boom.
We can print all day long and have some fun.
Correct.
These we have to actually find to...
There's a finite resource. It has natural value because it's precious, it's limited resources. And it's been used since the dawn of time as a currency. A lot of people say that are afraid that we're trying to go to a worldwide currency, the Amero or whatever. Well, my contention is we already have it. We don't need it. And one of the reasons that our forefathers put Article 1, Section 10 in the Constitution because they have first-hand knowledge about debasement of currency. Because under the Confederate States, each state was allowed to have its own currency. And for example, Rhode Island printed as much money as any of the 3 other states, and their money was worthless. In Massachusetts, banks created their own tender and loaned money to farmers to buy farms, but then as they printed more, the money the farmers were making was worth less and became valueless, and the banks came to foreclose on these farms, and they had what was called Shays' Rebellion. They had armed farmers that refused to let the banks take their land. And it predicated the Second Continental Convention, which gave us our Constitution. But they saw this, and they knew that bankers that could create money out of thin air and control a fiat currency could eventually take away what we had all earned. This guarantees liberty because this is ours. It won't go away, and it's not controllable by a bank.
But not only did our founders think this was so important because they put it in our Constitution, get back to where we started, Indiana put it in the Constitution.
When I started on this project, my friend and I were of the mind, we're doing battle with the most powerful people in the world here, the banks.
Who controls money, right?
Correct. And we are of the mind, we still are of the mind, that we find as many states as possible to do this. One, we can propel our movement forward by more publicity. 2, there's more people out there, and our targets on us will be smaller, you know, and we'll have roommates at wherever they might end up.
Great. Those camps we don't ever want to talk about.
Correct. So New Hampshire has been in play for 4 years. The powers that be are keeping it down. We are building momentum. Since we've introduced Indiana's money, Missouri and Colorado both have taken the same legislation and reformatted it for themselves and introduced it. What we're doing is very benign. We just want the government to allow us. Getting the bill passed is only half of it. We're not forcing anybody except for one group of people, I'll explain that in a minute, to do anything. It's all voluntary. Dr. Vieira and Mr. Turk calculated to really get this thing rolling, we needed to have some mechanism that would put gold and silver into the economy. And as gold and silver benefits us, it will benefit our government to have a hedge against inflation.
I want you to back up because why this bill is, are you saying we cannot currently own gold and silver?
No,
What's the problem?
You can, but it is not, there is not the network out there to use it, to have ability to trade among each other with it.
Okay, so if I wanted to take this out, I'd have to go find a shop first that could appraise it, sell it to them to get my greenbacks, my fiat currency to go and use it at Walmart.
Well, they've made it very complex for us. There are some
I can't go to Walmart and use this.
No, if you go to Walmart and use it, they're going to give you credit for $1, even though it's worth 15.
Okay.
Or 18 actually now. This is a Morgan dollar she's talking about. The silver dollar from the 1800s, 18.
So is that what kind is the general? I know there's more, but is that the general problem that you want your money worth something and you can't use it?
There's not a network of for a competing currency to operate in.
So you tried to get through this, okay?
There are alternate private currencies in use. There's one here in Indiana, based in Indiana, Evansville, called the Liberty Dollar.
I've heard of them.
Liberty Dollar claims $30 million of their currency in circulation, and what they are is a network of individuals that agree to accept the Liberty Dollar.
I've heard that there's even like McDonald's in Texas that
could very well be.
We're willing to take it.
There are quite a few here in Indiana. Peru and Wabash have, I think, between the two towns, 12, 15 vendors. There's a new...
and if anybody, I just want to clarify that, if anybody thinks that this is complicated, think about when you're on the border of Canada and America, they can exchange American dollars and Canadian really easy. You know, we all had that Canadian nickel. So there's still, the problem is they haven't allowed it to be that easy, but it should be that I can either accept dollars or coins.
Right. My contention is that when I have a central government that does not give me the opportunity to protect my earnings and my property, and I am stuck with their currency, that's tyranny.
Right. You don't want $40,000 in the bank that bought a car a year when you put it in there, and then when you pull it out in 30 years after retirement, you can't even buy a steering wheel for the car. I mean, that's the problem of where the inflation comes and the money gets devalued. So you put this together, and you wanted a way to be able to exchange. So now let's get back to the bill. The bill is 0453. It's in the Senate. And what does this bill do for us?
This bill specifies what we call the species exchanges, the species vault, what coins we will use are acceptable for trade.